Welcome to Setup Wars episode 348, Dual Setup Edition, boys and girls. Now this initially was supposed to be couples edition, but sadly we didn't get enough lovebirds submitting. Regardless, you guys get to see 10 setups and I get to film a new episode, so it's a win-win either way. So sit back and relax and let the begin Setup Wars. Bruh. Yo, what you up to? I'm trying to think of a new video idea, but I got nothing. Dude, just use TubeMagic. TubeMagic? Is that an adult website? No, it's actually an AI-powered tool for both veteran and up-and-coming creators with a bunch of helpful features. So check this out. If you already have videos on your channel, just paste the link to your channel in the Video Ideas tool, and TubeMagic will generate relevant ideas related to your content. It can also generate a rough script and outline to start off with the same video. Just choose the type of script, word count, and click generate. And the same goes for scripting any topic. You just need to give it a title or short description and let the AI do its job. People underestimate how important SEO and keyword research can be, and TubeMagic can help you optimize them to reach a wider audience. Not to mention the automated description and tags that give you a starting point that you can customize later. So what you're saying is that if a creator wants to up their game, then they should download TubeMagic for free using my link down below. Pretty much. Wow, thanks TubeMagic for sponsoring today's video. Kicking off the episode is Ahmed from Saudi Arabia with his white as hell Rainbow Pew gaming den. Alright, so we can tell he loves his RGB because the colors persist across the whole room with nanoleaf panels, ceiling lights, and a shelf with plenty of collectibles. Our boy is a fan of many things and he's not afraid to show it. The whole setup is supported by a massive custom desk with a couple of Alex drawers. With that size though, I would assume the desk is also attached to the wall with L brackets because there's no noticeable bend in the middle of it. Unfortunately, we don't have any photos from underneath, so it's all speculation on my end. The main setup is the one in the middle and it features two Asus monitors, a 34-inch ultrawide as the main and I think a 27-inch as a secondary in vertical mode, both of which mounted to the wall. All of his main gear is right there in front of him. We've got the Logitech G Pro X Superlight paired with an Asus ROG keyboard. And moving on to audio, he went with the Alexa speaker and a pair of Logitech headphones. The PC behind the setup is built inside an Asus case featuring an i9-14900K and an ROG Strix RTX 3080. I sure hope you flashed your BIOS with the new Intel microcode update. Now let's take a look at setup number 2. Ahmed didn't provide any details, so this photo is the only thing we can go off of, unfortunately. It's rocking a single 24-inch display with a Corsair keyboard and a Logitech mouse. The PC is also built inside another ROG case, but the only thing that I can identify is a 30 series Aorus GPU. No other info was provided. What the hell kind of submission is this, Ahmed? I'm sorry. In terms of cable management, I have no complaints. All the cables seem to be off the ground and mostly hidden from sight. As much decor and collectibles as Ahmed has, there is still a lot of customization that he could do. The desk, even though it has two setups, feels a little empty, like my soul. Maybe the right side has some sort of purpose that we don't know about, but that's the first impression that I personally get. Also, I would recommend getting a frosted cover for those RGB strips at the front of the desk. Diffusing them will look miles better than seeing every single individual LED. I must admit though, the different posters or backdrops in every single shelf where your collectibles are is a pretty cool touch. It gives it a whole different vibe besides being lit up with LEDs. Now if we take a look at the left, we see that his man cave is actually interconnected with his living room and bar area. One step is all it takes to transport from an RGB-induced game room into boring reality. It seems like the Middle East certainly loves their gold colors. That is evident in his main living space. It's an interesting contrast between all the colors in your game room and the warm and inviting atmosphere on the other side. I'm really curious to see what people's reactions are when they first walk into your room. But nonetheless, it was great having you on the show, Ahmed. Thank you for submitting. Beauty. Beauty is in my eye. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is in the eye of... What? Up next is Alex, an IT specialist from the UK, who introduced her partner to the PC Master Race and built this setup in the span of 6 months for the purpose of gaming and work. Okay, I'll stop with it, boys. I really like how you made the most of the limited space by sharing one tabletop while properly dividing it with the monitor positioning and the Alex drawer in the middle. The symmetrical layout of all the main devices are also quite pleasing to the eye. Now for the monitors, they both went with a T layout with a 27-inch as the main and a 24-inch as a secondary. The only difference is that Alex's setup on the left features an MSI as the main and a Dell in vertical mode, while the one on the right has 2 Samsung displays. In terms of peripherals, Alex went with white gear, a custom AN Pro 2 keyboard with a G Pro Superlight, while her partner opted for black peripherals, a Razer Huntsman TKL paired with a G502 mouse. Moving on to audio, they obviously have separate headphones and mics, but they do share a pair of speakers which are hanging from the wall and are tilted towards them. Bonus points for routing the cables through the black covers and at the same time using them to route the cables of the Nanoleaf panels. Very nice job. Talking about the cables, there are virtually none visible. All of them are tied with zip ties, Velcro straps, and routed through raceways, while the power strips are mounted underneath the tabletop. Underneath the desk is also where the PCs are located. Looks-wise, they have very similar systems, but Alex's PC is rocking a Ryzen 9 3900X with an Asus Strix 3070 Ti, while her partner went with the Ryzen 7 5800X 3D and an RTX 3060 Ti. Interesting choice. One of you went with an older CPU and a beefier graphics card, and vice versa. Also, great job on elevating both PCs from the carpet with custom painted MDF boards to avoid choking the bottom fans and preventing more dust buildup. Very nice touch. The only concern I have is with the legroom. The PCs don't look that deep against the wall, meaning you can't properly extend your legs out while using the setup. I mean, unless both of you put your feet on top of the PC, then I'd recommend some footrests, but this does seem a little uncomfortable for me. Regardless, I think you guys made the most out of the limited space that you had, and you were able to create a very cozy corner where you can both work and chill while playing games. The extra greenery and the decor with some collectibles, Legos, and your favorite artist's framed lyric poster add a nice touch of personality without overpowering the setups. I bet this makes for a very pleasant atmosphere while enjoying a few Warzone games. Hopefully neither of you rages too much, but nonetheless, thank you lovey-doveys for coming on the show. Setup number 3 is unfortunately not a couple setup, but belongs to Daven, who's also a Discord server subscription. By the way, thank you for your time and support, brother. He's a virtual data entry agent from Salt Lake City who built the setup over 1.5 years for gaming, working from home, and video editing. He actually got inspired by 2 specific setups from the show. One of them is Sarah's, who we all know and love from episode 214, and the second was a couple setup from episode 251, belonging to David and Katharina. He had very humble beginnings until he decided to put together a dual setup for him and his little brother while they were both students. Now, even though his little bro moved out now, Daven decided to keep both setups. So he has 2 separate workstations, one for gaming and video editing on the left, and another for working from home on the right. Both setups feature the same stacked monitor layout, with a high refresh rate LG ultrawide for the gaming setup and a lower resolution 100Hz ultrawide on the right. The stacked monitors on top are the same 22-inch Lenovo displays. Moving on to audio, he's got 2 pairs of Pebble speakers for both setups, while he also uses a pair of DT880 Premiums for his gaming setup. The peripherals, however, are not the same though. For obvious reasons, he went with a gaming Logitech G915 wireless and a G305 Lightspeed for the gaming setup, while the productivity one, the choice fell on the MX Keys and an MX Master 3S. Both sets are resting on our beautiful Cyber Black TS mousepads. Which, by the way, real quick, for those of you living on the Ray Boulder, we recently launched our brand new and very first leather mousepad on TechSourceShop.com, and we dropped the USA shipping prices down by $5. So now's a really good time to snag a pad if you guys have been holding off on one. Now on to the white beauty powering the gaming setup. It's built inside the Vantex NV7 and it's rocking an i7-12700F with a massive Gigabyte Aero 4080 OC. Damn boy, she thick. How many slots does it take? Like 4? Sweet baby Jesus. Anyway, onto the productivity PC. Looks like we got a Lenovo ThinkCentre Mini PC, which he attached underneath the desk. This was a smart choice, by the way, considering how it would stick out like a sore thumb as a black block compared to all the other white symmetrical accents from the rest of the setup. Also, it's a great idea to have a separate PC dedicated to working and being productive. That way you minimize all potential distractions that could keep you from finishing your tasks. Since we already looked underneath the desk, might as well go over to cable management, which looks very well executed. He used a bunch of raceways and sleeves to keep the cables off the ground and flush to the desk. Clean job, my good sir. Taking a step back to admire the whole view, it becomes obvious what he tried to theme in after. He presented the whole decked out anime/Japanese theme perfectly with the custom Dragon Ball posters, the samurai canvases on the sides, the wallpapers of course, and a bunch of other collectibles throughout the room. Going with white as the main color of the setup also gives him the freedom to easily change the color scheme by switching the lighting. That way he's not stuck with a specific theme at all times. You know, I've always said this in the past episodes many times, but white furniture and white gear reflects light a lot better and creates a nice neutral setting to make all accent lighting pop. So if you don't want to commit to a specific color scheme, white is usually the go-to. I did see on Discord recently you've started building a new setup, so I'm kind of excited to see what the final product's going to look like. So once you do finalize your setup, make sure to come back on the show. Also, if you're watching this video, please let me know in the comment section or find me on Discord and let me know where you got these badass Dragon Ball Super art from, because I definitely want to pick up a few for my setup. But yeah, nonetheless, thank you for coming on the show. Audio test, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Have you ever been told that your head is in the clouds? Well, that's exactly what Isaac's and Madison's goal was when building this getaway corner, a spot where they could completely unplug from the outer world and de-stress. It took them a total of 4 months to build it, but there was a lot of planning that went into it. You see, Isaac is an army soldier, and it was during deployment that he designed the setup. Since Madison and Isaac left the game together, he got inspired by Setup Wars to create this couple's den. You know, these types of stories show the impact that your setups and these videos can have. And honestly, I couldn't be more happy to hear this. It is an absolute honor, Isaac, and thank you for your service. Since they had a specific plan in mind, the regular IKEA desks wouldn't have cut it. So Isaac used his woodworking experience to design and build a foundation with multiple pieces of wood from a local supplier perfectly fitted to the dimensions of the room. They covered the windows with a few backboards and decorated them with 3D panels, custom-made shelves for collectibles, we got some greenery, Gobi rope lights, and of course the elephant in the room, the clouds. Those are actually made from pillow stuffing, believe it or not, and the inspiration behind them came from when Isaac was flying home from deployment through some clouds. He decided to replicate that view and make his setup feel like a spaceship that was flying through the clouds. The fact that you not only cover the ceiling, but also the shelves to the side of the setup gives it an even more immersive look. It really does feel like the setup is almost in the clouds. But what is the maintenance on something like this, right? I'm sure everyone has wondered at one point, like what happens to the dust or the bugs or the spiders that make their home in these clouds? Like, how do you go about cleaning it without damaging it? Maddie's setup, on the other hand, was inspired by her favorite game, The Last of Us. That's where all the greenery and decor came from. She designed it all herself, believe it or not, and being an owner of a beauty salon, it's not surprising that she was able to do it in a fashionable manner. For the displays, she went with stacked monitors. We got a 44-inch Scepter Ultrawide on top and a 27-inch Alienware as the main monitor. Good job on flipping the Ultrawide, by the way. I noticed it. Now, since she streams on Twitch, she also has a mirrorless camera which is attached to the monitor arm in the back. In terms of peripherals, she's rocking a Razer Huntsman Mini and the G703 Lightspeed from Logitech. Isaac's side of the setup is slightly different. He went with the same Alienware monitor as his main, but has a triple landscape layout with 2 Asus monitors on the sides. For peripherals, he chose a 65% Fnatic keyboard and the glorious Model O. I do like how you drilled separate holes right at the front for both of you to route the microphone cables and arms, so you can simply attach them without having to constantly move them around. Also, real quick, did you really have to cut the whole piece off on Maddie's mouse pad to route the cables? I might be wrong, but it seems like the pad could have been pushed a little further underneath the riser to not cover the hole that you drilled. So this is where most differences stop. Each has their own PS5 and Stream Deck. They have matching microphones and audio interfaces, but no speakers. They use in-ear monitors instead and have their separate headphones for gaming. The PCs are also twins with matching specs. 13th Gen Intel Core i7 processors paired with RTX 3080s. They displayed both of them in the middle, right on top of the setups. However, I would recommend getting some cable extensions at some point. I think all of us can agree that with so many devices, the cable management must have been hell. And it actually was. It took him over a month to complete and manage all the cables underneath the desk, so that whenever you look at the setup, you don't really see any wires anywhere. Not only that, but their house also had to undergo a bunch of electrical upgrades to even supply enough power to all the devices and lights in the first place. The time and dedication put into this is nothing short of extraordinary. The setup doesn't end here though. In addition to the 2 battle stations, they have a whole entertainment center where they can watch movies, play on consoles, and just chill on the couch. I love the character painting of you on the top left, by the way. Why is this episode so goofy? Who spiked my coffee? Something's going on today, and I will get to the bottom of it. By the way, I love that caricature painting of you on the top left, by the way. I'll have to get one for myself and see it one day. The thought, the time, and the custom work you both put into this setup are simply breathtaking? Breathtaking? Really? Out of all the words you could have butchered. The thought, the time, and the custom work that you have The thought, the time, and the custom work you've both put into this setup are simply breathtaking. You've somehow managed to create a space that reflects your individual interests while blending them together in perfect harmony. The synergy between your designs makes the room feel cohesive while still having distinct elements. Thank you for coming on the show, and thank you for blessing our eyeballs today. Last but certainly not least is Naga and his not dual but triple setup. He's got a racing sim, a PC desk setup, and a console entertainment corner. Damn! He's a software engineer from Florida, and he built it within just 2 weeks. As I recently built a racing sim, or at least attempted to, I like to start with that one first. For the display, he obviously went with the absolute unit, the 49-inch Samsung G9 monitor, which he placed on the IKEA Freddy gaming desk. We do have a couple of peripherals, but what's more important are of course the PC specs and the racing gear. The wheel, shifter, and pedals are all from Logitech, the G29 to be specific, and the PC is rocking an i9 9900K with an RTX 2080 Ti. This might sound outdated, but racing games don't really require that much horsepower anyway, and those are still above average specs even for today's standards. The setup to the left of the racing sim is the main PC gaming and photo editing workstation. It features dual 32-inch 4K displays, an Odyssey G8, and a Dell, but I would recommend grabbing a couple of monitor mounts for them. Your Lag Captain tabletop is protruding from the Alex drawer anyways, so you can attach them to pretty much any corner, freeing up tons of space on the desk, which you can use for other devices or decor. Moving on to peripherals, he's got 2 mice, a Razer Basilisk and a Razer Viper Cyberpunk Edition, which he paired with the Razer Black Widow Elite. Guys, I know this might be a little nitpicky, and I know it's best to have an actual accurate representation of how the setup is used, just like in this case, but it's still much more aesthetically pleasing when you don't have random stuff on the desk that doesn't belong there. For instance, the mail that you have right behind your keyboard. It's nothing major, of course, but it doesn't kill you to put it away for like a split second to take the pictures, right? Also, if the photos were crisp enough and this video was shot in 8K resolution, you probably would have doxed yourself if you send these to the wrong people. So, just be careful next time you take pictures with sensitive information on them. We don't know what the cable management looks like, unfortunately, but at least we can see them on the ground. There are a couple of raceways along the trim of the wall underneath the windows, which is a good sign, but I do see a bit of spaghetti right between the racing sim and your main PC in this picture. A few simple ties or even Velcro straps wouldn't hurt here. Talking about the PC real quick, it's a black and white Batman themed build inside a thermal take case, rocking crazy specs. We have an i9 13900KF and a Gigabyte RTX 4090. Besides the cables needing a bit of work, I would recommend elevating the PC from the carpet with a piece of wood or MDF, just like we saw in Alex's setup earlier in this episode. By the way, I do see that you use the streamer cables for the 24-pin, but you have the standard adapter for the GPU. I don't know if you know this, but Lianli actually makes 40 series streamer adapter cables, so you don't have to live with that ugly black cable sticking out. Alternatively, you can also just pick up a clean 12VH power cable extension from Amazon. I mean, really anything is better than the stock cables at this point. On to the third setup. It's filled with a bunch of collectibles alongside its consoles, a PS5 with a PlayStation VR, and a Nintendo Switch. So So this is where he likes to kick back and enjoy a few games on a massive 77-inch LG OLED TV while taking in the clean and crisp sound from the Klipsch speakers on both sides. I feel like he spends most of his time here considering how much more decorated this setup is compared to the others. I also want to point out that he has a separate wall dedicated to his collection of gaming, cartoon, and movie memorabilia. Either way, having 3 setups all to yourself is a dream, and Naga is living it. Thank you for coming on the show. Alrighty then. In the end, it wasn't 10 setups, but 12, so you guys definitely owe me. Let me know in the comment section which of these setups was your absolute favorite, but more importantly, smack that like button, go out there and kiss that special someone, and find the love of your life, because guys, we're dry over here. We need more couples editions, okay? Thanks for watching. As always, I'll love your beautiful cheeks, and I'll see you very soon in the next one.